Hi everyone, this is Khalil Kotia. Today's session we are going to talk about Server Object Model SharePoint 2013. We'll try to learn Server Object Model by asking a different kind of questions. What is Server Object Model, how to use it, when to use it, what is the best approach using that. So let's talk about first server object model. Server object model has been there since 2007 and 2010, and still it's there into the 2013 now. But in 2013 it has a different importance compared to it used to get into the 2010, because the new way of developing a solution has been introduced, and that is called a SharePoint apps. We are going to learn SharePoint apps in my coming up session. So let's talk more about a server object model. Now, what is server object model? Now, server object model is a way, or it's an approach when you are developing any solution. Its server object model is nothing but set of classes grouped into the different namespace, which are separated into the .NET assembly. So we are going to refer those classes to perform an action or to work with a SharePoint environment. Now, what is the use of these classes? This is writing a program or allows us to develop our server-side programs which would be interacting with the SharePoint engine. Like for an example, if you open up a central admin and you want to see that what are the servers are there in your farm, okay, what are the web applications are created, okay, how many web applications are created, how many site collections are created under the web application. So all that are things which you generally can perform using the either CMDlets or either using the central admin or either using the PowerShell. Now, similar operations, similar activities you can perform by writing a couple of lines of code using the server object model approach. So similar operations which you generally perform using the central admin, PowerShell or CMDlet, same operation you would be able to perform using the server object model approach, and we are going to see that in a couple of examples to perform that. What is server side program solutions? Like I said before, it's a set of instruction, it's a program which is going to run inside the server, which is going to interact with the SharePoint engine. Now how we are going to use that? Okay, there are libraries, there are assemblies which are available for us. So how we are going to use that? So we need to add those assemblies as a reference into your project to refer to to perform any task. What is best? When it is best to use a server object model? Only when you want to perform a server level operations, then it's always recommended that you go with the server object model approach, because like I repeated a couple of times, it directly talks with SharePoint engine. So the program which I have written, it runs inside the farm, so it can directly perform operations on farm or engine. Like you can create a site collection, okay, you can create a web application, you can change the incoming and outgoing email configurations. So all that stuff you can do using the server object model, because it directly works with the SharePoint farm. It runs inside the SharePoint farm. Now when you are developing any solution using the server object model approach, it's divided into the two. It can be deployed in a two ways. Its solution is one only, but it can be deployed in a different way, and based on that deployment, the scope is change of that solution. We'll talk about more later on that. But this approach depend upon how you deploy it, okay. Now what is the initial best development approach? Now okay, we understood, okay, there are a couple of libraries which we need to use, okay, we need to add that as a reference, but how you are going to develop or how we are going to explore those libraries when you're into the initial stage of the development, or in the learning, or you're developing some a small solution. So it's recommended that go with a console application in real time, because, and the next following question is saying why we should go with the console application. So of course it speeds up the development process. It does not require a deployment for testing. Now your code or your solution inside the farm, and then you have to publish, and then again once it is done, then you will be testing, and then if it's not working, or if it's working, again you will be undeploying, unpublishing, and that's where you have to go to the a cycle of deployment. So if you are going with a console application, just write a couple of lines of code, run it, you will find your output on a DOS prompt for the day, for just exploring and for testing purpose. And if everything goes well, then you can convert that to your actual development, and then you can deploy it inside the farm. Any cautions? Yes, make sure that your project is targeting a 64-bit platform, and the framework must be 4.5, of course, because SharePoint 2013 works on 4.5 framework, so it must be a 4.5, and it has to be a 64-bit solution. Which is the main library we need to refer? The main the library which we need to add as a reference in our solution is microsoft.sharepoint.dll. You need to refer that. You need to add this DLL as a reference in your project to write some code which will be running inside the SharePoint farm. Okay, it's not only one DLL. Okay, there are a couple of DLLs which you can add as a reference. You can perform different activities or perform different tasks. So what are those? There are lots of assemblies are there, and where you would find those assemblies. So those assemblies are located in 15 Hive folder. Now 15 Hive is new into the SharePoint 2013. It used to be a 14 Hive for SharePoint 2010. For SharePoint 2013, it's now 15 Hive. Folder location is the same. Only C program files, common files, Microsoft shared, web server extension 15. Inside 15 folder, you will have one more folder called ISAPI. Inside that folder, you will find all the required assemblies which you would be using, or you might be using for writing a solution using the server object model approach, and couple of other way of writing the program. Those DLLs are also available into the same location. So since we are talking about server object model, we'll stick to that right now. So the DLLs which you need to refer for your solution to be deployed inside the farm, you would be finding all those required DLLs into the 15 Hive ISAPI folder. I think that's all for this session. The next session is whatever the questions and answer we have referred here, I'm going to demonstrate in practical. So don't forget to watch my next session. That's going to be a complete practical session. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening to me.